And as we're talking, we're getting notice that the Democrats are now coming up with a strategy to perhaps tie some kind of legislation that would make sure Mueller is protected into some budget deal. As we know, they're now facing this new February 8th deadline for the debt ceiling. Michael Moore, do you think it's come to that this is even necessary, that Mueller could still potentially be fired, or would that be completely devastating to the president himself?
Well, let me say yes to both of them. Yes, I think that it would be devastating to the president himself, and yes, I think he's going to have to try to fire Bob Mueller, because I think Mueller already has the information on him probably to move forward with the investigation. You know, you're seeing all these things happen at one time. We've got the Republicans with the Chairman Nunes wanting to talk about this memo that's out there and releasing this thing. We've got them attacking the FBI, which is sort of standard playbook that you see when you're under the scrutiny of government investigation. You start attacking the investigators. And then we've got the president over here in this White House counsel talking about whether or not he ought to be fired, and the president upset with Rod Rosenstein. So you've got all these confluence of things happening at one time. And my guess is that's because they're starting to feel the noose tighten around the administration and the people higher up in the administration. The investigation really is in three parts, but it's really one. And I think what's happening is we're talking about obstruction, we're talking about collusion. At the end of the day, and this is what I think Bob Mueller is going to come back with, we ought to be looking at, and he's probably looking at, the money and following the money. There's a reason that Trump didn't want to give his tax returns. Reason that Eric Trump said that all the money for the golf course was coming from the Russians during the time that no banks were lending money on those things. All that stuff is out there, and my guess is that Bob Mueller already has a pretty good grasp of where he's at. I think the president's likely to find himself either in a federal grand jury under subpoena, or he's liable to find himself talking in a free interview with the Mueller investigative team. I just don't think that Bob Mueller is going to have a big appetite for letting the president and his counsel dictate the terms on which he might appear to give a statement. And you know, this is classic federal prosecutor style, and I've said that all along, that Bob Mueller is sort of the classic prosecutorial tactician. And that is that he's going to bring his man in, he's going to look him in the eye, and he's going to be able to tell when he's lying to him. And Trump is going to be his own worst enemy if he ever gets in there for an interview, either with the agents or in front of a grand